So now I'm on to the titration part of this lab exercise. I started out with 20 mils of 0.1 molar acetic acid, and I'm titrating it with sodium hydroxide. I also added about 15 mils of the 15 drops of the bromocresol green indicator, and I'm slowly but surely titrating it with 1 mil of 0.5 molar sodium hydroxide. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So this is what it looked like at the very beginning of the titration. As might be expected, acetic acid has a low pH, so it's forcing the indicator into the yellow form. So this is before I've added any sodium hydroxide. And the starting pH was 3.24. Now, before I did any adding of sodium hydroxide, I also took the spectrum of the acetic acid with the indicator in it. And it looked very similar to when I just had the bromocresol green in the yellow form previously. But then I started adding 1 ml at a time sodium hydroxide. So I no longer have this sample, but after I added 1 ml of sodium hydroxide, the solution became more greenish colored and the pH rose to 4.44. I took that spectra, and I then added a second mil of the sodium hydroxide. And that caused the pH to rise to 4.93, and I have my solution now. It's almost like a turquoise color. So yeah, I took the pH already. Next thing I need to do is take a spectra. So I already have it poured into a cuvette. You can see my first two spectra on the screen here. Let's go ahead and take the third one. So that orange line is, my third sample with 2 mils of the sodium hydroxide added in. And you can see that the peak on the right is growing. The green line was my sample 0 with no sodium hydroxide. The blue was with 1 mil of sodium hydroxide, and this orange is now with 2 mils of sodium hydroxide. So we can see that we're starting to lose that yellow peak while we're growing that blue peak. One thing that's important is that I need to return my solution to the beaker. So here's my kind of turquoisey solution. I'm going to return that in there before I add my next 1 ml addition of sodium hydroxide. And I'm doing that because I don't want to change the volume of that solution. You may be a little confused because I had that original sample 0 over here. That was actually a duplicate I made just to be able to show you. But yeah, this is the one that I'm taking all of my measurements on, and it even matches my jacket. So I've just added my last mil of sodium hydroxide, and this one made the pH jump up from 5.5 all the way to 11.82. That tells you quite a lot about buffering. Our first, couple additions here cause pretty gradual pH changes, but then we must have exceeded the buffering capacity of that acetic acid to see such a big jump with that fourth addition. The color looks pretty similar to sample number 3 when the pH was 5.5, at least with our eyes, but when we look at the spectra, they are slightly different. So that pink line is the pH 5.5, sample number 3, and the red line is the fourth sample, pH 11.82. So we are seeing some differences there, and it'll be up to you guys to figure out how to interpret what's going on here.